The judge looked Diddy right in the face right before handing him a 4-year sentence and said, "You will forever be associated with Cassie and Jane. You can't wash them away." This after his attorney spent hours defending his character. Brian Steele said Diddy is a leader, a civil rights leader. Talked about his success and how he's given back to his community. He talked about the charter schools that he started. They also said that he shouldn't be punished for being an addict and that he got addicted to painkillers after getting surgery. They said that everything has been taken away from him, his freedom, his businesses, his reputation destroyed. They even said the money is gone. But they say despite all the bad things he's done, he's still a good man and that he needs help with his anger and drug addiction. So then the defense went back and talked about when the prosecution said that he already has speaking engagements lined up. And they said, no, it's not speaking engagements, it's teaching engagement. In fact, he plans to be a motivational speaker of sorts, going from prison to program to help inspire people and use his own story of hitting rock bottom to show that you can pick yourself back up again. They said it's healing. Now, the prosecutor spoke one last time, saying that Diddy showed us exactly who he was when he didn't know the cameras were rolling in that hotel attack video. And then we heard for the first time from Diddy himself. When it was his turn to talk, he sat in the chair a little bit longer, flipping through the pages of what he wrote down, before he stood up in place and put his hand over his face. He moved his hand and then said, "Thank you, Judge, for giving me the opportunity to speak for myself." He said the hardest part about this process was having to stay silent and not express how sorry he is. His voice was shaky and he was on the verge of tears. He offered an apology to Cassie, her family, and to Jane. He was wearing glasses, one of his crew neck sweaters, and he had a full beard. His hair was grown out too, still gray. He kept looking down at his paper and then back up at the judge. Fighting back tears, he said, "I got lost in excess and ego." He said, "I'm humbled and broken to my core. I hate myself right now." And then he turned around to the gallery and his voice gave out when he said, "I'm sorry, Mom. I've failed you as a son." After Diddy was done, the judge called for a break. Now we are already 6.5 hours into this hearing. During the break, you could see that Diddy was antsy because it was time for the judge to sentence him. He was rubbing his face. He kept putting his hands in his face. It was time for the judge to speak, and he reiterated that Diddy was only being sentenced for the Mann Act convictions. But the judge made it clear that he was going to take into consideration everything he heard during the trial. He started off by saying, "Listen, Mr. Combs, I know your accomplishments, that you're self-made, that you're an inspiration to your community. I know about your accomplishments, your struggles, that you're a father, that you're struggling with drug addiction. I understand it all. However," and that's when the judge went off, saying the freak-offs were not just sex, drugs, and rock and roll. He said, "You abused the power and control that you had over women that loved you. That I heard Cassie's testimony. I saw the text, the evidence, the bruises. I know that 2 women contemplated taking their lives because of you." He said these are serious offenses and you've done irreparable damage to these women. He said despite what the defense says about the prostitution charges, you were no John. You were more. He then said, "I understand multiple people have come to this court today to say you're a changed man." But he said, "Remember when you beat Jane when you were under investigation? And this was after Cassie's lawsuit and after the hotel attack video? You didn't seem remorseful then." He said, "Do you remember when you taunted her while you were beating her and said, 'Is this coercion?'" So with that, he said, "I want to send a message to victims and abusers that you will be held accountable," and then laid out that he will be sentenced to 50 months in prison. When the judge read the sentence, both Diddy and his family didn't express much emotion. It was a stark contrast to the excitement and the standing ovation that he received when he was acquitted of 3 of the most serious charges he was facing. At one point, when the judge was talking about Cassie's victim impact statement, Diddy just shook his head. The judge then thanked Cassie, saying, "I'm proud of you for coming here and saying what really happened," leaving off with, "You stood up to power."